I've been sitting here because I can't film inside the car, but I think they might be taking her out. I might have misheard. Oh no, he says taking her out of here, meaning probably. Hey man, what's going on? Right on.
Thirsty.
Oh, I got you, man. I'm sure you have to do something to keep awake when you do a night shift.
Yeah. I start my shift off with a bucket of caffeine.
A bucket? That's a lot of...
So the call was, I don't know if you were scanning and heard it.
I wasn't on the scanner, no, not tonight, no.
The call was a shoplift where the shoplifters threatened to shoot the employees when they were confronted.
Oh my God, okay, so you guys had to come like doubly prepared or whatnot.
So, yeah,
like...
we got here and it was kind of still going on. They were still walking across the parking lot to this vehicle.
Okay.
That's when we contacted them.
So you had to like search them for weapons and all that fun stuff before I got here. Okay, right on.
They've been compliant since police contact, so we're just doing an investigation and see what happens.
So, what, 2 suspects?
Well, there were 3 people contacted.
Yeah.
And we're still doing the investigation, so I don't know who's doing what.
That's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't ask you specifics like that because you couldn't tell me anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, do you know Officer Webb?
I do.
Yeah, I had a interesting conversation with him one night. He was joking. I think he's really cool. He's a funny guy. Like, personally, I think, in my honest, no bullshit critique of law enforcement, you guys that are able to retain a sense of humor and have people skills, like, and still have to deal with the kind of violence and all that stuff that makes an officer that's going to be serving the public in a really exemplary way. And I like Webb for that reason. He's really awesome. He's really funny. And tell him I said hi for me, would you? Yeah, tell him Mike Bluehair says hi. Yeah, because he's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, you gotta keep a sense of humor. You see so much crappy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it gets really depressing if you don't keep a sense of humor.
Right on.
And like you said, turning it off and turning it on back and forth is challenging, especially over 30
Sure,
years.
sure, I can imagine. How you're a sergeant, so you've been here a long time?
Yeah, just about 19 years.
19 years? How long were you just a regular cop before you graduated as supervisor? Like how many years?
Just under 10 years.
Oh wow. Right on. Something I've noticed about like comparing apples to oranges, comparing Portland Police Bureau to you guys, it seems that you guys, I'm just guessing by your behavior, but are you guys more understaffed as far as volume of officers are concerned than Portland? Because it seems
fewer officers, obviously, but our city's a lot smaller.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure exactly how big Portland is, but I think it's in that 400 to 500,000 range, or 100,000, 110, I think is our official. And so we have much fewer officers. We've got about 115 sworn right now.
Yeah.
Officers, and then some command staff. Right?
Yeah. See, because I could tell because you guys usually have fewer officers show up to things, and I'm wondering why. Like, a lot of times Portland has the resources to stage less lethal simultaneously with lethal, and you'll always hear them on the scanners, and they'll like, even with just a knife call, they'll cordon off an area. They'll have enough officers for both ends of the street. Then they'll have the less lethal guy approach with the lethal option, and then they'll slowly approach the suspect and ask him. And I've noticed that Gresham seems to have fewer officers and it's more hands-on. And my guess is that you had fewer officers, resources. You know,
when you're dealing with stuff like that, it's a huge balance of time, resources, urgency. Right? If somebody's actively doing something, you don't have time to wait for anything.
Sure.
You know, if you have lots of people and lots of time and there's isolation, you have lots of time to plan, get things together before you do something. So every situation's way different.
So the dynamics are really contingent upon situation and the conditions. Okay, right on.
Yeah, and the conditions can include, you know, a parking lot in here with nobody around, right?
Right.
Those are great conditions for us.
Right.
You can be in the middle of a crowded apartment complex. That's bad.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have time to like kind of see what's going to happen.
Everybody and their grandma's in the backdrop, and you have to be safe.
Risk,
yeah.
You know, and you have to go in and try to do what you can to minimize the risk to innocence. So another condition is the number of people you have available. You know. I mean, we can't throw 30 people on a call. We just don't have the people to do that.
I got you.
But, when those big calls come, Portland sends people. Multnomah County sends people.
Sure.
And so we do have extra.
And I noticed that you guys get drafted when there's protests, because I film a whole lot of protests, and like the RRT squad gets a lot of people. Like, do you guys have to do like bi-monthly trainings or something? Like our RRT squad in Gresham and in Vancouver. Do you guys?
There's kind of two phases of that. There's a basic amount of training that all the officers try to get, right? That we try to make sure all the officers have. Mm-hmm. And then there's the actual reaction team.
Yeah.
That have the full gear, and that's just a designated group of people. And then I don't do that, so I'm not sure how often they train.
Yeah.
I know they've been doing a lot of ongoing training, and when all the agencies work together, it really helps ease that burden on resources.
I was just about to go there. Not even just resources, but like safety concerns. Mm-hmm. Like I think one of the reasons I covered Ferguson out there in Missouri, and I think one of the reasons there was so much resentment towards the way law enforcement handled that whole thing is because you had a dozen or more agencies all working together, and they all had radically different gear and training for crowd control, and a lot of stuff got missed. Like there was a lot of officers just kind of milling about, not knowing what to do, and that wasn't, they're just wanting to be helpful, but they didn't have uniform training, and that's one of the major F-ups that happen.
More complex a situation, the larger you get it, the more people you're trying to contain and the more officers you're trying to coordinate, especially through different agencies. Man, that command and control gets really challenging, and the bigger you make it, the harder it is.
No, I know how the process works in Portland, but like as far as when a citizen makes a complaint in Gresham, is there something similar to Portland's? We have something called the CRC, or the Citizen Complaint Commission. How do you make a complaint if you file one in Gresham? Do you just call, or
they go through our chain and they're assigned to an investigator, somebody who's not generally in the chain of command of the person the complaint might be about, depending on the nature of the complaint. If it's a complaint that's unlikely to result in severe discipline, then the sergeant can investigate it.
Right.
Call the people complaining, call witnesses, talk to the officers, kind of put everything together and figure out if they think there was a violation.
I appreciate you being very thorough, because I was going to ask what your role as a supervisor was, and you just explained it. Thanks a lot, man. That's really cool.
And if we think that because a sergeant isn't able to do major discipline, I can't fire people. So if there's something serious, it's investigated by administration.
Right on. Awesome. So yeah, I'm pretty much done here after they drive off with their suspects. It turned out it was like a shoplift type thing, and the sergeant here on the scene is explaining to me that they actually threatened the Big K employees with a gun. Well, allegedly had a gun, but I don't think one was recovered, or maybe
that was just the call.
That was just a call. So they're pretty much done. So you could pick me up now if you wanted. Most certainly can. All right, see you in a minute.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for a tow or to figure out what we're doing with this car.
But you are definitely going to arrest him?
At least two.
Okay.
I'm not sure on the third person.
Okay, right on.
And then what we're doing with the car, but most of that's pretty much figured out.
Well, I'm going to leave because like the chances on something going south of Cheese at this point is very minimal.
Low,
so so I'm going to take off. It was good to speak with you, Officer or Sergeant Cobb.
Clay.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Could I shake your hand?
Sure.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, man.